Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing another MISSPER and Makeup Monday video. Last week we did the case of Murray. I still can't say it. And I slightly touched on another girl who went missing in like a similar area called BRIANNA MAITLAND. So that's the case that I'm going to be doing today. She went missing like very similar time, like wasn't long after Morphe had disappeared, and they were only about 60 miles apart from each other as well. So a lot of people tend to think that the cases were related. There's no evidence to say whether they were or not. We'll see what you think at the end of this video. So we're going to talk about Brianna's case and what happened to her. But if you like these videos, make sure you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and they come every Monday. So every Monday we do another missing persons case and I do my makeup. There are a little bit of like graphic details later on in the story, so just a heads up, it does get a little bit gruesome later on, but we're going to just get straight into it and talk about what happened to BRIANNA MAITLAND. So Brianna Alexandra Maitland disappeared on March 19th, 2004. She vanished after leaving her job at the Black Lantern Inn in Montgomery, Vermont. So very similar area to where Morphe was, or again she was heading to Vermont I think. So that's why a lot of people tend to think that these cases are related to each other. She was only 17 at the time that she disappeared. Her car was found abandoned the following day, and it was backed into the side of an abandoned house about a mile away from her workplace. She's not been seen or heard from since then. So due to a lot of like different circumstances, it was a few days before she got reported missing. So we'll get into that. Obviously we'll start the story from the beginning, but that's the outline of what happened. So Brianna was born October 8th, 1986 in Burlington, Vermont to Bruce and Kelly Maitland. She was raised with her older brother on their parents' farm, which was in East Franklin, Vermont, near the Canadian border. In her youth, she was extensively trained in jiu-jitsu and she attended Missisquoi Union High School before she transferred to Enosburg Falls High School in nearby Enosburg Falls during her sophomore year. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm not good at pronunciation, obviously. On Brianna's 17th birthday, she decided that she wanted to move away from her parents' farm. She wanted to move nearer to a group of friends that she'd made that went to a different high school. So her mum Kelly said there was no like serious stress at home or anything like that. She had made these friends that lived about 15 miles away. They went to a different high school and that was the reason that she wanted to move. Brianna enrolled at her friend's high school, but her living arrangements were unstable, so she moved in and out of several friends' homes, like say for surfing. By the end of February 2004, she had dropped out of school and she'd moved in with a childhood friend called Gillian Stout, and that was in Shelton, Vermont, and it was about 20 miles west of Montgomery. So to complete her high school education, she enrolled in a GED program, which I think is where they like do school online until they get their high school diploma. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not from America, but I think that's what they do. 3 weeks before Brianna disappeared, she was physically attacked at a party by a former female friend who was called Keely Lacrosse. The motive for the attack was unclear, but Brianna's father Bruce would later state that he believed it stemmed from jealousy over Brianna's interaction with a male friend at the party. One of Brianna's friends at the party claimed that even though Brianna obviously had like loads of training in martial arts, she refused to fight with Keely, who hit her in the face several times whilst Brianna was sat in a truck, someone's truck, don't know whose. So the results of Brianna getting hit in the face was that she had a broken nose and a concussion. She later did file charges against Keely. The complaint was subsequently dropped 3 weeks after Brianna disappeared, and police stated that Keely was cleared of any involvement in her disappearance. So they don't think that she had anything to do with her disappearance, so she got away with beating Brianna up basically. So on the morning of Friday, March the 19th, 2004, Brianna took an exam to receive her GED, which is the high school diploma. After she completed the test, her and Kelly, her mum, had lunch to celebrate the occasion. Her dad Bruce was out of state working in New York at the time. Her mum described Brianna as being in good spirits and that she discussed plans of attending college, so there wasn't any inkling that she was just going to run off on her own. She was apparently going to enroll in university university, so everything seemed fine. She didn't seem like different to normal. So after lunch, Brianna and her mum spent the afternoon shopping and running errands. While waiting in the checkout line of a store, Kelly, Brianna's mum, said that something outside had caught Brianna's attention. She told her mum that she'd be back shortly and left the store. Kelly completed her purchase and met Brianna in the parking lot. She told her mum that she needed to go home and get ready for her shift at the Black Lantern Inn, which is a restaurant in Montgomery. Kelly didn't want to pry, so she didn't ask what had happened. She just dropped Brianna at home, that she shared with Gillian, her childhood friend, between 3:30 and 4 p.m. This was the last time that Kelly would ever see Brianna. When Kelly had gone back to Brianna in the parking lot, she noticed that Brianna had been like unnerved, shaken, she seemed a bit agitated. That's why she kind of didn't want to like go more into detail and like ask what was wrong. She just wasn't herself. But she doesn't know who she saw or what happened while she was paying for her shopping. Brianna left a note for Gillian, the childhood friend that she was living with. The note said that she'd be back after work, basically, so nothing out of the ordinary, just that she's going to work, she'll be back later. She left for work and she drove a 1985 Oldsmobile sedan, which was registered to Kelly, her mum. After she completed her shift, Brianna clocked out and left the Black Lantern Inn at approximately... Oh my god, why can't I not speak? Let's try again. She left the Black Lantern Inn at approximately 11:20 p.m. She told her co-workers that she just needed to go home and get some rest before working the next day at a second job she had in St Albans. By all accounts, Brianna was alone in her vehicle when she left. Early the next afternoon, which was March 20th, a Vermont State Police trooper was dispatched to an abandoned house on Route 118 in Richford, about a mile from the Black Lantern Inn. Brianna's car was found backed into the side of this abandoned house. It was known locally as the Old Dutch Burn House. The siding of the home had been breached by the rear end of the car. A piece of plywood that had been covering a window was on the car's trunk. Two of Brianna's paychecks were on the front seat of the car, and outside of the car the law enforcement officer observed some loose change, a water bottle and an unsmoked cigarette. The trooper assumed the car had been abandoned by a drunk driver, and a towing company took the vehicle to a local garage. Brianna wasn't reported missing for a number of days. Her mother, Kelly, didn't learn about the discovery of Brianna's car until about 5 days afterwards. Gillian saw Brianna's note on Friday, March 19th. She spent the weekend away from home, so she found the note undisturbed when she returned on Monday. She assumed that Brianna was staying somewhere else. She didn't call Brianna's mum until the next day, so I think Tuesday. On Tuesday, March 23rd, Kelly began calling various people in order to try and find Brianna, including friends as well as employers, but no one had seen or spoke to her. So failing that, and she obviously didn't know then that the car that Brianna had been driving had been recovered, she filed a missing persons report on the Tuesday. So this was Tuesday the 23rd, so this is like 5 days after Brianna's gone missing. On Thursday, March 25th, Brianna's parents gave photos of her to Vermont State Police in St Albans. A trooper showed them a picture of the Oldsmobile that was found at the Old Dutch Burn House, and they immediately identified the car as Brianna's. Kelly said in interviews that she was instinctively repulsed by the photo and believed that someone else and not Brianna had left the car that way, so she thinks that someone had staged it basically. So after Brianna's reported disappearance, several individuals came forward to law enforcement to report sightings of Brianna's car at the Old Dutch Burn House the night she disappeared. A man who drove by the house between 11:30 and 12:30 on 11:30 p.m. into 12:30 a.m. March 19th to 20th. Said he saw that the car's headlights might have been on. He said he didn't see anyone in or around the car. A second man who drove by between midnight and 12:30 on Saturday, March 20th, recalled seeing a turn signal flashing on the car. And around 4 a.m. on Saturday, March the 20th, a former boyfriend of Brianna's drove past the scene after a night of partying across the border in Canada. He thought he recognised the vehicle, but he didn't see anyone in or around the car. The next morning, some passing motorists found the scene odd enough that they stopped and took pictures of it. One of the photographers reported some loose change, a water bottle and a bracelet or necklace on the ground next to the car. Vermont State Police, who led the official investigation for the first months after Brianna's disappearance, were sceptical that foul play was involved, considering the possibility that Brianna was a runaway. With that scene, really? The area surrounding the old Dutchburn house was combed on foot by police and search dogs, but nothing was found. Brianna's car was processed by the State Crime Lab for evidence on March 30th, 2004, after the car had been impounded at a local garage for several days. Upon the car's return to the Maitland family, Bruce, her dad, noticed that Brianna's ATM card, her glasses, contact lens case and migraine medication had all been left inside. So if she was a runaway, surely she would take those things with her. So I don't think she ran away, personally. It was later concluded by law enforcement that foul play was involved and it was the probable cause of Brianna's disappearance. And a 2007 flyer provided by the FBI stated that the scene at which Brianna's car was discovered may have been staged to look like an accident. Brianna's parents have publicly speculated that she may have been abducted by multiple people, stating that it would have been difficult for just one person to subdue her, given that obviously like jiu-jitsu training that she had. So they think it was more than one person that was involved in her disappearance. Which makes sense, like if it was just one person, she, with all the martial arts training, she could have just like fought them off. So this is where people start comparing the case to Morphe. This happened literally the month before Brianna disappeared. They seemed like they were deemed unrelated by law enforcement, but they were within like 90 miles of each other. And a month later, both girls are young brunette, so it is a bit weird, and both like have like really weird car accidents beforehand, or like Brianna's, we don't know if it was an accident or if someone put it like that, but it just seems really similar. Brianna's family organised a website in 2004 which is now defunct. It was titled bringbriehome.org with a posted maximum reward of $20,000 for information leading to her whereabouts. The website was active until at least 2009. According to a March 2017 article published in Burlington Free Press, the reward remained available. In June 2017, however, it was reported that the reward was due to expire in early July that year. So July 2017 apparently was when this reward expired. In the week following Brianna's disappearance, the Vermont State Police received an anonymous tip claiming that she was being held against her will in a house nearby in Berkshire, don't know how they pronounce it over there, in Vermont, 10 miles from Montgomery. The rented house was then occupied by Raymond L. Ryans and Nathaniel Charles Jackson, and they were two known drug dealers from New York, and it was raided by police on April 15th, 2004. Various drug paraphernalia was discovered inside and substantial amounts of cocaine and marijuana, but there was no signs of Brianna at all. Ryans was arrested during the raid for drugs charges. Upon interviewing Brianna's close friends, law enforcement was informed that Brianna had allegedly experimented with hard drugs in the recent past, specifically crack cocaine, and was an acquaintance of Ryans and Jackson, apparently. In late 2004, police received a statement from an anonymous older female who implicated both Ryans and Jackson in Brianna's disappearance and alleged murder. The signed letter contained allegations written in graphic detail, just FYI, it's going to get a bit graphic. Brianna had been murdered approximately a week after her disappearance. The woman who provided the letter claimed that Ryans had murdered Brianna during an argument over money she had lent him to purchase crack, and that her body had been temporarily stored in the basement of a recently incarcerated local woman's home. Brianna's body was then allegedly dismembered with a table saw and disposed of on a pig farm. I know, so sad if that is the case. I don't know, no one knows if that's true or not, but I don't know, it's a bit of a weird thing to write if that's not the truth, you know. Law enforcement was unable to corroborate the claims in the letter, so they weren't able to find any proof that what was written in this letter was true. So unfortunately, I don't think that was like investigated any further because they couldn't find any evidence. The Maitland family additionally reported that they had received several uncorroborated anonymous phone calls. Whoa, what's happened here? From people claiming that Brianna was tied to a tree in the woods and that she had been disposed of at the bottom of a lake. So the family were getting phone calls. Police have had like letters about what's happened to Brianna. There's a lot of like weird stuff going on. People saying different things about what's happened to her. It's all a bit strange. In 2006, there was security footage at a Caesars World casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey, which showed a woman who resembled Brianna sitting at a poker table, but the woman was never properly identified, so I think she left before they had a chance to identify her, and I don't think they've seen her since, so they couldn't have asked her whether she was Brianna or not. In 2012, law enforcement investigated a potential connection between Brianna's disappearance and the serial killer Israel Keyes, who committed numerous rapes and murders in Alaska, Oregon and Washington, as well as in Vermont and New York, where he owned a property in Constable. The FBI ruled out Keyes' potential connection to Brianna's disappearance in late December 2012, shortly after Keyes committed suicide in Anchorage, Alaska. In March 2016, on the case's 12th anniversary, investigators revealed to a local TV station that they had recovered DNA samples from Brianna's car. The results of the DNA test were not made public, so we don't know whose DNA was on the car. In July 2016, the farmhouse where Brianna's car was discovered was destroyed in a fire. Brianna's case was profiled across various local media on Dateline, NBC, and the documentary series Disappeared. In 2017, the case was discussed in the documentary series on Morphe as well, due to the similarities in the disappearances. As of 2020, Brianna's disappearance is unfortunately still unsolved. This one is just like a complete trip for me. The fact that she wasn't reported missing for a few days is really frustrating as well, because then it's like that whoever did this had days to cover their tracks and got a pretty big head start, whoever it was that took her. I'm assuming that someone took her. I don't think that she would have gone off on her own, and the time gap is really small. It's very similar to Moira's. If you go from when she left work, which was 11:20, and then the first sighting of the car was between 11:30 and 12:30, so if she left at 11:20 and they did see her at 11:30, that's 10 minutes. So it's a very short time frame for someone to stage this accident, for her to just disappear into thin air. It's just so bizarre to me, and I definitely think that there was more than one person involved due to her martial arts training. I don't feel like one person would have been able to overthrow her, so I definitely think there was someone else, at least two people, that unfortunately abducted her. There isn't really any obvious suspects in this other than the drug dealers from New York. They seem to be the only people that have motive and knew her apparently, so all signs point to them really, but other than that there isn't really anywhere to go with that. But maybe it was just unfortunately a random group of people who kidnapped her, or maybe it was the drug dealers and they just got away with it. I don't know. See what you think below, let me know. But yeah, it's such a shame, and it is very strange that it happened so close to where Moira disappeared, and a very similar time as well. I do wonder if they are linked and police are just rubbish. But yeah, let me know what you think below. Next week we'll be doing obviously another missing persons case, so I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet. I've got a lot already that I've researched, so got a lot to choose from. But yeah, this one is just so odd that she just disappeared within pretty much 10 minutes, the way the car was left. It's just very eerie, so yeah, it's so sad. But let me know what you think in the comments below, what you think happened to Brianna, if you think they're related to the Morphe case, and I will see you next week for another missing persons video. Bye bye.